Vishāvahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. As students of Vedanta, you know what a wonder Atma Vidya is. You just think about it. It's just, people, some of these words we use are overused, like amazing. You have some so small success, you say amazing. But really the words amazing and wonderful should be kept with something which is truly amazing. Just think about it. We are born into limitations. We live within limitation. And there is a limited span of life. The whole thing is nothing but limitation, 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 including our own sense of well-being, of happiness, limitation. This is what we are born into, this is what we exist in. In the midst of this, there is something amazing. In Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna actually alludes to this. Ashtaryavat pashyati kaschidenam. Bhagavan himself says it. He says, there's something wonderful going on here. Just amazing. To be able to discover immortality within mortality is not an ordinary thing. This is truly amazing. It's very interesting if you look at the Srishti of Ishvara. So as you know, we have the Srishti, the Maya Srishti consists of the three gunas. Tamasic, Rajasic, and Sattvic. So the Srishti of Ishvara from a Tamasic and Rajasic standpoint continues on. What that means is bodies are born, there is a desire for procreation, and there are children that are from all species. And this has always been the case. It's not like it had a beginning, and always will be. But then there is also a Sattvic Srishti. And that is something equally amazing. What that means is that the communication of teaching from the standpoint of discovering freedom within mortality will always continue. Always continue. And so people who worry about the fact that the Vedic knowledge is in danger, there may be some temporary setbacks and so on. It will just continue. Because that is the very nature of Paramatma. And you cannot stop the very nature of Paramatma. But this is something extraordinary. Most of us play a part in propagating that, and then we move on. But Bhagavan sends new people to continue with this amazing Sattvic creation, if you want. A Sattvic creation which is in the form of non-creation. The reason I say that is because I was very fortunate in 1973 to be given an introduction to this by Swami Chinnayananji, immediately followed by Swami Dayanand. And I played a small part in this most beautiful area which attracts the best Indians to come to here and so on. And as you know, for the last 20-25 years, we have maintained that sampradaya and a way to communicate it. But time for me is going on. And I'm very, very happy that some new people are coming in to continue with this. I'm really very hopeful and very excited that very competent, very sampradayik teachers are appearing on the scene. It is all given by Ishvara. And I'm very thankful for those of you, especially Madhu Grandi, for becoming a Nimitta Karana for this continuation of the teaching. I would hope for, and I am very confident, that there will be a personal contact between the Guru and the Shishya, which is very important in this wonderful teaching, and that we begin a new chapter in the Bay Area where you begin to see someone who is able to communicate that wonderful teaching. So I am especially welcoming Swami Sachidananda ji, and my hope and my confidence is that this will begin really a new chapter in this area. My congratulations to all of you. I probably will not be able to stay I'll listen to him later on. I have some work, some needed at home. But I wanted to personally be here to convey my excitement and my good wishes for a very successful visit. Hari Om.
Asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Vijayji, just.
I'm very happy to meet Vijay Kapoorji. Also Guru Bhai, in that sense of we studied from the same teacher, Puja Swami Dayananda Saraswati ji. So I would like to offer a small token of love to him. I invite Vijay ji to come and please receive this token of love from me.
All right, you can be here. No. Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Am I audible? We'll start the class with chanting of Omkara thrice, followed by a couple of prayers. Those who are aware of the prayer, please join me. Otherwise, you can participate in spirit. Before we begin, I would just like to know how many of you are new to Vedanta? All right. Yes. Take a steady posture. Eyes are gently closed. Inhale, and as you exhale, chant Omkara. Let us inhale. 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 You may gently open the eyes. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Hari Om. Once in a class like this, a teacher was addressing and teaching a text to the students. And the teacher saw that a couple of people are dozing off in the class, have dozed off. So in order to inspire and wake the person up, the teacher started talking even loudly, with more enthusiasm. Still, the person who was asleep did not wake up. Then he pointed to the person sitting next to him. Wake him up. So the person sitting next said, "You are the one who put him to sleep, you wake him up." So I hope I do not make you land in that situation. The text chosen for exploration and discussion is the Ashtavakra Gita. The Vedantic literature has many Gitas. The most prominent and the most famous one being the Bhagavad Gita, the teachings given by Lord Krishna. We also have Uddhava Gita, again teachings of Krishna. And one more popular Vedantic text is the Ashtavakra Gita, the song of Ashtavakra. Ashtavakra, the many stories associated with Ashtavakra. I'll not go into that detail. Just to give you a background, Ashtavakra was this great Brahmagnani who had the vision of oneness, the vision of Vedanta, but physically he had 8 deformities. That's why Ashta means 8, Vakra means deformities. So he had 8 deformities with reference to the body, but a great sage, a great Brahmagnani. It is said once King Janaka was sleeping in the afternoon and he got a dream that he has lost his entire kingdom and he is out of his country and somebody is chasing him, and finally he is in search of water, and suddenly at that situation he just wakes up. Janaka, being that highly sattvic evolved person that he was, did not just wake up from afternoon nap and then went for a cup of chai. He went into a very deep thought. He raised a fundamental question. He raised in himself, what is real? Is me being a king, ruling this kingdom, is this the reality? Or in the dream, the Janaka who had lost all the kingdom and the dream scenario, is that the real? The crux of it is that this dream made him undertake inquiry into the real. He raised a very fundamental spiritual question. What is real? What is reality? So in order to address Janaka's problem, this question, sage Ashtavakra was called into the court of Janaka. And Janaka did pranams to Ashtavakra and raised many philosophical questions, many questions regarding reality. And the teachings of Ashtavakra is preserved in the form of Ashtavakra Gita, which is brought down, given to us. Elsewhere, there's another story, very interesting story associated about the greatness of Ashtavakra as the teacher. Ashtavakra, when he walked into the court of Janaka, it seems all the ministers, scholars who were seated there started laughing because he had 8 deformities in the body. He had the Vakrata. So when everybody were laughing and they stopped, Ashtavakra said, I thought I'm walking into court of Janaka where scholars and panditas are sitting. I did not know that Janaka's court is full of cobblers. Why did he say that? A cobbler is only concerned with the leather or the skin. So all these panditas who did not have anything more than just to look at the physical form of Ashtavakra and laugh at it. So he compares them to cobblers who are all the time involved with skin. Basically, just have nothing, no other infrastructure but to look more than body. So then the court comes to a discipline, and then Ashtavakra interacts with Janaka and gives all this teaching. It is said like that. The stories are sometimes, yes, literal. Stories are associated in order to inspire us. Akhyayika stories are associated so that to generate an interest in us. So that's a couple of stories associated with Ashtavakra Gita. And there are many texts in Vedanta. The Prasthanatraya, all of you know of it. Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, the Brahma Sutra. Apart from that, there are many Prakarana Granthas or topical texts dealing with a particular topic, or a lot of Vedanta topics. And the Ashtavakra Gita, in that sense, is an advanced text. It presupposes some level of Shravana to Upanishads or Bhagavad Gita. Because the content of Ashtavakra is with reference to Nididhyasanam. So it presupposes Shravana and Manana. And in this, in a way, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana should go along with our Vedantic journey. They are not really exclusive. You do Shravana, and when you are doing that, you do not do any Manana, Nididhyasana. It's not like that. With some exposure of Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana should also spontaneously occur. Because in this text in Ashtavakra Gita, Ashtavakra directly approaches Brahma Vidya and helps us contemplate, helps us abide in the self-knowledge and abide in the self. So that's the standpoint Ashtavakra takes in this in his text Ashtavakra Gita. The entire Vedantic inquiry can be put in various sentences, in various perspectives. One way could be inquiry into the real, inquiry into the reality. If you really observe world as it is today, even in the Vyavaharika sense, even in the transactional sense, one is always involved with the false. Nothing seems to be real even in this intermediate level of Vyavahara. You touch a dish, there are only fake ingredients in it. Hardly anything real. You touch a product, there's hardly anything real in it. So when the world has changed so much, probably we have to put even more effort when the world has changed so much, probably we need to put even more effort to discover and inquire into the truth, inquire into the real. In fact, it ought to be taken. This inquiry ought to be undertaken. Otherwise, what a waste of life. We have all these facilities, all these comforts, yet we miss the fundamental aspect of life. That should not happen. That's why Vedanta. Inquiry into the real. Inquiry into that which is permanent. The Shastra helps us even explain or look at the reality. Okay, so we say real, inquiry into the real. How do I fully appreciate it? How do I take it in? So we can look at it as inquiry into that which is permanent. What is real? Real is that which is permanent. What is unreal? That which is unreal is something which is constantly undergoing change. That which is constantly changing. Now we have two definitions. That which is real never changes, is permanent. That which is unreal constantly changes, is ever changing. Now if you look at the world, and now when you look at yourself, you can very truly understand that whatever I see, whatever I touch, whatever I smell, whatever I taste is constantly changing. We have the conception of the world through the five senses. The world is constantly changing, and it's not only that, if you really look at it, the senses are also constantly changing. The sensory power goes on diminishing as the body is aging. That's why sometimes people in old age will be very grumpy with reference to food. It's not that there is some problem in the food. The sensory power of the tongue has decreased, so nothing appeals to me anymore. So the world is changing, the body is changing, the sense organs are changing. With reference to this definition, we have to look deeper, look at ourselves. Is there something which is permanent? Is there something permanent? Is there anything which is non-changing? The Taittiriya Upanishad makes the student undergo this enquiry of Panchakoshas, analyzing each and every aspect of you, whatever is our identifications, we bring it to our notice and just ask a simple question, is it changing? The Shishya starts with the body. You look at the body, it is constantly changing. You look at the mind, it is ever changing. Shankaracharya ji says, Balastavat Krida Saktaha. In the young age, one is only interested in the play. Tarunastavat Taruni Saktaha. In the young adult age, a boy is interested in a girl, or one gender is interested in other gender, one person is interested in other person. Just goes in that. Vriddhastavat Chinta Saktaha. The old age is spent in worry and chinta. What will happen? What will happen? What will happen next? What can happen? What happens to everybody, that will happen to us also. Nothing very different. Nothing very different. So people ask me sometimes, Swamiji, in your travels or when you are visiting here, what is that you find it which is different? What is that, any change do you find when you are visiting different countries? So I say I have a standard answer. No. Life is same everywhere, irrespective of countries, borders, communities. What is different is only lifestyle. Life is same everywhere. Life is same. Fundamental elements of life is same. You go to India, you go to Africa, you come to America, anywhere, it's same. Lifestyles are different, that's all it is. So the last part of life is spent in chinta. Nobody has time to inquire into Parabrahma. That's what Shankaracharya says in the Bhaja Govindam. Life should not be that. We have to undertake the inquiry. So you observe the mind, that is also constantly changing. Mind is constantly changing. You look at the intellect, the power of intellection is high at a particular age, goes on diminishing. So all these aspects are changing. The strength in the body, prana, all that is also changing. But there is something fundamental which is constant, which is permanent, which never changes. And what is that? It is the sense of I. It is the consciousness which is a witness to the body, the changing mind, the changing pranas, the changing intellect. there is something permanent all the time. But we seldom pay attention to it. See, if somebody asks you to name all the things in this hall, you say a water tumbler, mic, Swami, photos, chairs, people, but often we miss the obvious, which is the space, which is subtle, but because of which all of it is possible, but sometimes we miss it. Vedanta helps us turn our focus from extrovertedness to really looking at ourselves, the fundamental core of us, which doesn't change at all. That I am a witness to the body, to the mind, to the senses, to the prana, is a fact which is evident. It's just that we have to start paying attention to it. We have to pay attention to it. So Vedanta points out that look at yourself. There is an unchanging element in you which is ever present. That is real. Why? Because it doesn't change, it never changes. It's ever present. And the entire Upanishads, the Shastras, give us insights. This Shastra Pramana helps us truly understand what this consciousness is. What am I? What is my true nature? What is the nature of the world? In fact, without very deep inquiry, we are very in simple terms but profound terms, we have already inquired what nature of the world is, that it is impermanent because it is constantly changing. It is ever changing. So the whole effort in Vedanta is to give up this false identification with reference to body, the mind, sense complex, and with the world, and to abide in one's own true nature. And Shastra tells us what is one's true nature is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, or Sachidananda Atma. The purpose of this entire inquiry is to get established in the real and really have this knowledge, understanding, deep appreciation and abidance in oneself. And Ashtavakra Gita enables us to abide in the self, to abide in the self. Often I hear these questions post a lecture or a lecture series. Yes, Swamiji, I understand, but somehow I seem to forget it in my day-to-day transactions. In fact, self is not something, or self-knowledge is not something which you can forget. It is you. It is your true nature, which is ever present, which is ever present. The tradition has an entire system of inquiry, a method of inquiry, which enables us to truly appreciate the self. So this method has certain mukhya sadhanas, the primary sadhanas, and the secondary sadhanas. The primary sadhana being Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Shravana means listening to the words of the teacher, in the sense words of Shastra. Manana means deeply reflecting upon what you have heard. Nididhyasana is abidance in that understanding, in that knowledge. Manana is compared to how a cow takes in the grass and keeps some of the grass in its cavity. So it sits in a corner and takes out that grass again and chews on it and extracts all the juices out of it. That's the manana. Nididhyasana is after Shravana Manana, with some background of Shravana Manana, Nididhyasana is just correcting all orientations. Pujya Swamiji very beautifully gives this expression to show us what Nididhyasana is. Nididhyasana is correcting an orientation which may persist in spite of knowledge. So what is that orientation? Just a simple example. So a person may come from India to here or may go from here to India. The person knows that now he is in the US and it is left hand drive here, but yet suppose he is a pillion person sitting there in the car, he tends to go towards the left side of the car. You know that in this country it's left side driving, but yet even if you are not driving, you may end up going towards that, or a person who is driving coming from there may come and try to open the right door to sit there. It's not that you do not know. You know that it is left hand driving here, but yet you may try to follow a mechanical action originating because of a pattern or because of an orientation. Nididhyasana is correction of that orientation. In the chapter that we have chosen, in Ashtavakra Gita, Ashtavakra gives us pointers. In this chapter especially, Janaka, having listened to Ashtavakra, shares his insights, his sadhana. We can do it later. Janaka gives pointers through which one can correct these orientations. It's very essential to correct the orientation. Otherwise, we will have this insight, knowledge, but when it comes to day-to-day life, day-to-day experiences, we may be mechanically operating as though we have no connection with the knowledge or no connection with all that we have studied and learned. So in order to correct this orientation is the Nididhyasana, and this chapter is all about pointers to truly abide in oneself. Truly abide in oneself. We will discuss you may open the handout. You may chant after me the first shloka. Kaya kritya sahah purvam tato vagvistara sahah atha chinta sahastasmat evamevahamaastitah Astitah. Astitah means to abide. How did I gain this abidance in this self-knowledge? How did I gain this abidance? How does the abidance come in? In fact, simple to complex things in life, or the most profound things in life, needs this practice, training, in order to abide. In order to reach a point where nothing affects us anymore. Vedanta teaches us why this Vedanta gives us this Atma Anatma Viveka. It shows us what is real, what is unreal. Because if our focus is on real, we should not be bothered about the unreal. It is anyways changing. Nothing stays forever. Nothing lasts forever. It is just an event in time. It is just a point in time. So I need not be worried about it at all. May I focus into something which is permanent, which is constant. You see, the nature of this impermanent world is that the more focus you put on it, more problematic it feels. More and more, some people, they can have a simple world view, be informed about what is happening in the world, but they put too much focus into some world affair. They are unconnected with. And a problem seems 10 times more to them, 10x larger to them. Why? Because simply the entire focus, attention is paid onto that. Whole focus, whole attention goes into it. The more and more you give your focus, you become more involved with it. It pulls you more and more inside it. It is like Chakravyuha. Everybody has that Abhimanyu problem syndrome. What is it? You know how to get more and more and more involved with something, but you do not know how to come out of it. Social life, you know how to go more, and many people go more and more and more into it, and you do not have the art of coming out of it. It could be family, it could be career, it could be profession. People do not know where to draw lines. So, astitaha, where is my abidance? Every student of Vedanta must ask this question. Where is my abidance? Where do I abide? Where does my mind generally dwell? Is it in Atma or is it in Anatma? Is it in real or permanent, or is it with reference to unreal? So when we ask this question, we will know where we are. Nothing wrong in wherever we are. The journey must start from somewhere. But if you put consistent efforts of Sravana Manana Nididhyasana, we will definitely reach the goal, and that goal is not separate from me, that goal is myself. Unlike all other pursuits, we are pursuing something outside, something which is far away from us. But in Vedanta, we are pursuing something which is very, very intimate, which is myself, my own true nature. So journey is really from here to here in that sense. But we have to employ some language, some words have to be used in order to convey something. So an expression of journey could be used. Now Janaka says, how did I come to abide in the self? How did I come to abide in my own true nature, that which is permanent? So he says, Purvam, at first, Kaya Kritya Asahaha. With reference to physical actions, I became indifferent. Asahaha, indifferent. With reference to all the physical activities one may undertake in day-to-day life, I became indifferent towards it. You see, we do something, the action is over in a given point of time. But we do not end that action there. We still have the aftertaste of the action. So it continues. The action has ended, but yet my involvement with the action, the result of the action itself, and all other things associated with the action, I'm still there. Janaka says, at first, I became indifferent with reference to physical actions. At the body level, some or the other actions keep happening. Everybody, whether a grihastha, whether a sannyasi, whether a brahmachari, whosoever it could be, everybody is doing some or the other action, series of actions. But Janaka says, first I became indifferent. How do you become indifferent towards physical action? There is a Vedantic gem there. It is not simply shutting the mind towards action or anything. You simply do not identify yourself as a doer. You simply do not identify yourself as a doer. Then how do I perform an action? Can I perform an action without a sense of doership? Yes, it is possible. Just a spontaneous action. What is to be done is to be done. You do not have to claim that you are the doer of this action. Something needs to be done in the family, you just do it, that's it. There's no need of saying that I did it, I am the doer of it. And all of it, and there's no need at all. You give something somewhere, need not identify with the act of giving. It is done. You need not identify yourself as a giver. So that is being indifferent towards physical actions. Nobody can stall actions in life. Life is but a series of actions. But how do you come out of the grip of these series of actions which go on and on and on and on? Everybody seems to be waiting one fine day, there won't be any actions. I will just sit on my porch and then have a cup of chai and there will be nothing to do. I do not even have to lift that cup and put it down. No, that situation never comes. Life is but series of actions. But the art of not getting involved with that action, not letting the action make our life complicated, the art is to not identify yourself as the doer. Action happens. Breathing happens. You do not have to say, I am the breather. Breathing just happens. Seeing just happens. Listening just happens. Sleeping just happens. So similarly, you extend all of it. The action will happen. What is to be done is to be done. But I have no sense of agency, no sense of doership there. This is a real incident which happened some 50 years back. It seems in that old style chowdhuries, what they used to call, some wedding hall or something. So in every year there used to be a program which used to happen in that particular hall. And everybody used to gather. And in the middle of the lecture, this one person used to switch off the fans, and it used to happen in summers. So somebody asked him, hey, why do you switch off the fan for 2 minutes and switch it on again? Every year you do that. Oh, you know what? I donated all those fans. My name is written on it. I want people to see it and acknowledge. That is the silliness of doership. It can go to that heights also. It can go to that heights. And the more the sense of doership, you are more disappointed in life. Because the doer wants to be respected. The doer wants to be acknowledged. The doer wants to be validated by family members or colleagues or society, whatsoever it is. So there is always this expectation, and it will never be met. This expectation will never be met. So the best way to get out of this whole mess is to not identify oneself as a doer at all. Doing happens. Actions happen, and I am not the doer. I am not the doer. On another level, Initially, if you look into the Vedantic path as a student, one is putting forth effort in Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, primary sadhanas, mukhya sadhanas, and a person is also advised to undertake lot of secondary sadhanas also. It could be a puja, it could be japa, it could be shama, dama, uparama, titiksha exercises which will help you gain sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, karma yoga. All of it is prescribed so that you have a mind which is available for inquiry, and along with the mukhya sadhana. Now, Ashtavakra, Janaka is giving us an insight in Nididhyasana. In Nididhyasana, you simply let go of all these efforts. You simply let go of all these efforts. Somebody asked Swamiji, Puja Swamiji, so when should I stop the sadhanas? So how do I know now? You say, you move beyond sadhanas, or you come out of that compulsive grip of sadhanas also in order to truly abide in the self. So somebody asked Puja Swamiji, so when do I stop the sadhanas? Puja Swamiji said, suppose you are on a pill, suppose you are on a medication. When do you stop the medication? When there is a cure. When there is a cure. So until then the medication goes on. So once there is sense of health, once the health is restored, you do not have the dependence of those medications. In order to cure the disease of samsara, what is the disease of samsara? The disease of samsara is that you constantly feel inadequate. That inadequacy comes because of identification with the body, mind, sense complex. Why? Because really in all sense, body is inadequate. It can do certain things, it cannot do certain things. Mind is inadequate. It can think and focus on certain things, it cannot focus on certain things. Intellectual power is also limited. So in all aspects, body is limited. Body, mind, sense complex is limited. So when you have total identification with it, you also get the same traits of it, feeling inadequate, small, limited. In order to come out of this is the whole effort. The whole effort is to come out of this sense of inadequacy and gain the purnatvam, completeness, which is one's own true nature. And that comes only with the identification of this consciousness, which doesn't have a name, form, color, any qualities, but that which is permanent, witness of everything, witness of all three states. So Janaka says, I have come out of all efforts. You can in a way take, since it's a Nididhyasana topic, I have come out of all secondary sadhanas. All secondary sadhanas. Why? Because they have served their purpose. Once something has served its purpose, you need not retain it. Once it has served its purpose. Then Janaka says, Asahaha, now I am indifferent of Vak itself. Vak Vistara. From extensive speech, extensive discussions, extensive talking about Vedanta itself. You see, there is a nice shloka, Acharyat padam adatte, padam shishyas swamedhaya, padam swabrahmacharibhya, padam kalakramenacha. How do you gain this self-knowledge? 25% comes from the Acharya. 25% comes with one's own swamedha, one's own understanding and the power of intellect. 25% comes from Swabrahmacharibhya, co-students through discussions and other things. 25% comes in time, just a poetic way of looking at it. So this 25% of discussion with the student, co-student, some people really take it very seriously. Constantly arguing about the self, constantly arguing about Vedanta. After a point, the advice is to move out of it. Advice is to move out of it. Move out of that, and then whole focus, concentration, energy is not lost in any of this in just getting involved with secondary sadhanas or any other physical activities or identifying with the doership, nor with extensive simply discussion, arguments about Vedanta itself, so that you conserve all the focus, energy available for internalization, so that there is a certain calm in one's mind. There is some internal space and calmness to appreciate the teaching, to internalize and abide in that particular teaching. Then Janaka says, with reference to Chinta also, I am asahaha. I do not get involved with this mechanical thinking also. I have consciously withdrawn myself from the mechanical thinking. Because mind is what? Like a Pandora box. The mechanical thinking is like that. One thought after another, one thought after another, one thought after another, it will move in cycles, circles. Suppose it doesn't get anything with reference to present moment to munch on, it goes to past. Suppose it doesn't find anything there interesting, it goes to future. So it's like a pendulum all the time moving between past and future, munching on something or the other all the time, bringing in sudden bitter memory from 33 years old bitter memory. How did it come? You never know. It just wants to munch on some bitter memory all the time. So you become indifferent even to the whole process of thinking and the cyclic mechanical thinking. Evam, indeed in this manner, aham astitaha. I started abiding in myself. I found abidance in the self. Abidance in the self. This is the nididhyasana. Another way of looking at nididhyasana is to just be. The focus is on being. In anything else, focus is on various other things. You look at something, the focus is always on doing something or the other. In the worldly life, always the focus is on doing one thing after another, one thing after another. Now, the person wants something more than just mechanical life, the person comes to religious life. Now, in the religious life also constant doing one thing after another. One temple after another, one puja after another, one sahasranama after another, one thing after another, all that is required. We truly really revere and appreciate it. But from the standpoint of nididhyasana, the limitation is being pointed out. Not that one should not do it or not one should stop it, not that there is nothing right in it, no. There is only good in it. But yet, when it comes to nididhyasana, in order to abide in oneself, one should disidentify, one should not get involved with the doership and the doing. And the another thing comes which may be an obstacle to nididhyasana itself, something, or is something knowing also. All the time wanting to know something or the other. If you look at society also, one huge chunk of people are the doers. All the time want to do something or the other. There's other chunk, subtler than this group, wanting to know one thing after another. What is the entire social media feeds? Wanting to know one thing after another. Wanting to know one person after another person. Wanting to know one event after another. The whole newspaper is wanting to know one event after another. Nothing wrong with it. But where is my abidance? That's the spiritual question. It's the Vedantic question. Where is my true abidance? So when we ask that particular question, the answer to it is ideally the abidance must be in self. So in order to abide in self, all that which distracts us is being handled, and Janaka says, I became indifferent towards doership and physical actions. Then with excessive speech, and today especially we are in a world where there is excess of speech. It need not be in sounds only, of course it is in sounds, it is also in words also. Too much engagement with the social media platforms, the media, is all about too much of words. I was reading an article which said in a particular news app today, there is more information available about the world than what used to be there on the morning briefings of Bill Clinton's desk about the world, because US President is briefed about all the events of the world. So one person has more access than that. Now, what used to be at the table of a president of a big nation. So that much information, words, what are we going to do with it? Just simply consuming in is really not doing any good to us. So becoming indifferent towards vak, towards words also. And being indifferent and not getting involved with the process of mechanical thinking. If we can truly do that, and that happens on the seat of meditation, that is what we are trying to do. On the seat of meditation, nididhyasana, what we try to do is this, to be unattached, to be not involved with any of it. Evameva ahamastitaha. I started abiding in myself by undertaking this process, by undertaking this line of things. That's what Janaka is pointing out. Janaka is truly sharing what worked for him. Janaka is truly sharing with his guru Ashtavakra now in this chapter what worked for him. And that is how we must move in life. So, as dhatu, from where astitaha, bhu dhatu, to be, it comes from, it is also there in other ancient languages also. So for example, in the Latin, we have the root sta, S-T-A. What is the Latin root sta means is to be. So that from that root alone, the word station, stand, study, all those words come from that. And what is the root meaning of this? Is to be, is to stay. So astitaha is also a very beautiful word. See, sta, stha, how much they are interconnected. Latin to Sanskrit. So all these ancient languages were interacting with each other, and many studies show that there has been exchange. So astitaha, to just be, to just stay, and that's a very tall thing to do in order to be indifferent with reference to doership, vak, words, and the chinta. That is nididhyasana. Ability to stay, ability to just be. I'll conclude with a small story which Pujya Swamiji used to share, and we'll have a short meditation. Once in a temple, a new officer came. Unfortunately, many of the Indian temples are being managed by the government, where it should have no interference. So a new officer came and he was looking at the job roles and of all the employees of the temple, all the people involved in the temple. So there used to be priests, and as per the official records, each priest was to be given 5 bags of rice. Each worker was to be given 6 bags of rice. Each person involved in sweeping was to be given 6 bags of rice, etc. All these things. Then in the list also had one Swami. So Swami was to be given 2 bags of rice or 3 bags of rice. So the officer was inquiring, so what does the priest do? Okay, they perform all the pujas. Okay, this is the number of bags of rice given to him. Okay, let it be. What about this person? He cleans 6 bags. Yes, let it be. Then what about this Swami? What does he do? No, he does nothing. He just is. He is there. Huh? What do you mean he is just there? I want to cancel this 2 bags of rice being given to him. Let us cancel it under my regime. He did that. He cancelled it because he does nothing. So the Swami went and said to the officer that you have cancelled my food allowance. Why? Because he said you don't do anything, you just are. So the Swami challenged him, okay, you do what I am doing, I will accept this taking away of the rice allowance. Okay, the officer asked, what do you do? I mean, what is the nature of your job? Nothing, I just come in the morning, I sit till the evening. I'm just there. The officer sat for a few minutes, 10 minutes, started shaking his leg. 5 minutes, he felt like drinking water. 10th minute, he wanted some chai. 20th minute, he just could not stay. He got up, I said, okay, fair enough, I have accepted, you do whatever you are doing, 2 bags of rice are there for you. Just to be is very, very difficult. Very difficult, because in fact it should be the most easiest thing, but it's the most difficult thing because we are not in touch with our core of our being at all, which is still, which is Sat, which is ever present. So that presence, we are unable to get in touch with it, appreciate it. Why? Because one is lack of knowledge and too much extroverted orientation. In fact, this is to be cultivated. Ability to just be with oneself, one's true nature. To abide in that is the ultimate sadhana, is the vision of Vedanta. But even in simpler sense, I will give this small food for thought and end. You see, we often think the cause of our problems is the world. The cause of my problem is the husband. The cause of my problem is the wife. The cause of my problem are the kids, are the society. This, that we try to name and label and think. But really, if you do this exercise, you will really know where is all the problem coming from. What is the exercise? The exercise is leave all your gadgets, no mobile, no phone, no laptop, no tablet, no TV, nothing. Give up all the eatables, drink a glass of water, sit in your room on a chair, comfortable chair, shut the room door and just be. You see, mind just cannot stay. 10 minutes it will think of something. Suddenly in the 12th minute you just drank a glass of water, you feel thirsty, you want to drink something. More than a certain point of time, you just cannot stay there. No book also. Swamiji, can I read Ashtavakra Gita? No. Swamiji, can I do Ram Nam? No. Can we do a mala? No. Nothing. Just be. Just be. One cannot. Usually. If you can, it's very good. One cannot, one gets disturbed, one gets irritated, one gets bored. All sorts of turmoils is because you are unable to handle the person you are, the thoughts that come in, that situation that is. So, when I myself cannot handle myself, how am I expecting the whole world to deal with me? All problems originate here. So I must orient this body, mind, sense complex, calm it down, have all the sadhana chatushtayas, undertake sadhanas, undertake shravana manana nidhyasana, and ultimately come to this point where you can abide in the self, where you are indifferent towards work, indifferent towards physical activities, indifferent towards all the information, all the walk in the world, indifferent towards even the thoughts. Even if there are thoughts, let it be, they come only to go. So I am indifferent, I am not a doer, I am the Purna Atma, I am Sachidananda Atma, a witness to everything. That's the crux of the teaching of which Janaka is sharing with us. We'll have a small meditation based on this particular verse itself. Take a comfortable and a steady posture. Eyes are gently closed. Pay attention to the breath. Let us inhale and chant Omkara once. Inhale. Give this auto-suggestion to yourself. As I sit here for this meditation, I am a nobody. I have nothing to do. I have no transactions. I shall resume my interactions and transactions with the world after this meditation. Now just observe the breath.
observe the breathing. I do not have to put any effort to breathe, and do not put any effort in order to breathe in a particular way. Notice that the breathing happens. The body is. Let it be. I'm just the witness of the body. There are sounds coming from the external environment. Let them be. Its presence and absence cannot disturb me. I'm simply a witness to all sounds. Now just look at the mind. If there are thoughts, let them be. If there are emotions, let them be. I'm simply a witness to all of it. No need to dwell on any sound or anywhere, just a silent witness. As a witness of it all, you're untouched, unaffected. You just are.
As a witness, you're complete. You do not lack anything. The body may have some lack. Lack of health, lack of strength. But as a witness to it, you just are. Manobhutyahankar chetani naham na cha shrotra jihve na cha ghrana netre na cha vyoma bhumir na tejo na vayuhu Chidanandarupaha Shivoham Shivoham Chidanandarupaha Shivoham Shivoham Chidanandarupaha Shivoham Shivoham. You're simply a witness to the sound and also to the silence. You are and you are complete without any lack. Become aware of the external environment. Introduce gentle movement in the hands and feet. With a gentle smile, rub the palms together. Apply the heat onto the eyelids. Slowly and gently, you may open the eyes. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om.